Welcome to another episode of Forgotten Athlete Podcast. Thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for subscribing. If you haven't already, subscribe to my page, YouTube page, which will be launching hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And then also um, go ahead and subscribe to my Apple Podcast as well as Spotify. So I didn't realize this, but when you're Anchor Podcast, you have access to Spotify music. So maybe I'll start updating some more music selections for my podcast intros. I mean, I don't know, maybe that'd be a good idea. Um, but we got some things to talk about today. Obviously, I talked about the Kevin Durant side of it, but the owner came out and he made a statement regarding defending him. And then we got the preseason to talk about Niners expectations. I'll be talking about today. And then Super Bowl. Who do I think will win the Super Bowl? And also my what's the word? Surprise team that you guys are gonna be like, oh, that's not a good team. That's team. There's no way that team's gonna win. They have this player, So my surprise team. I think we can start there, right? Obviously, we got. I think there's a huge bubble of teams that can win the Super Bowl this year, and obviously because they have good quarterbacks, they have a good defense, and they have a great coach. And that list is not short. I think it's long. Like I said, it's a big bubble, and the Buccaneers are for sure top of my list. Then you got the Bills, then you got the Chiefs, then you got the Rams. Obviously, those four teams. The Bengals, you can put the Bengals in there, obviously, because they're the defending team. The Ravens, that's six teams. Who else? Trying to think off the top of my head. Bills, Chargers, Raiders. I put Niners are in that category. That's already nine teams that I listed off, and I'm missing probably about 3, 4 teams I'm listing off. But the 10th team I want to include in this category, and I think a lot of people are missing out and sleeping on, are the Minnesota Vikings. So I'm over here just because on my daily day I work, but also when I'm not working because I work from home. So sometimes you get off task and you start looking up other YouTube videos on this stuff, right? So I'm over here, just doing my day to day, and I stumble upon a team that I'm like, this team could make some noise this year. And I'm looking at their schedule, and I'm like, this team could make big noise this year. And I'm looking at who their coach is, who their quarterback is, who their receivers are. And I'm just thinking to myself, this team is an explosive team. They were an explosive offense last year. Defense was just poor. And they have a huge upgrade of defensive players. And that team is the Minnesota Vikings. So Minnesota Vikings, obviously, they restructured Kirk Cousins' contract this year, extended him a lot longer. And obviously, Kirk Cousins has COVID. That dude gets COVID every single week, it feels like. But Minnesota Vikings are my team that I think I'm not guaranteeing a Super Bowl. I'm not Joe Namath, or I'm not Shaq. I'm not Phil Jackson. I'm not MJ. I'm not doing that. But what I will say is that the Vikings have a big chance, a high chance. They should be in the top 5, top 10 teams of winning Super Bowl. And I think uh their division, right, is going to be, I think, the biggest thing that's going to give them a holding block, right? They play the Lions twice, they play the Bears twice, they play the Packers twice. Now they've beaten the Packers, they've been competitive with the Packers over the years with Kirk Cousins, but not at a really consistent rate. Let's be honest, Aaron Rodgers has kind of owned a division, but at the same token, we have to realize that the Packers are not as good as they were last year. They lost a lot of places. One guy who played for the Packers last year is on the Vikings, and that's one of the big changes, I think. Zadarius Smith, he was signed by the Packers. Apparently, contract got disputed, and now all of a sudden he's on the Vikings. So now he wants to sack A-Rod twice a year, right? And he has that ability, right? And I think the Vikings losing out on Everson Griffin, losing Xavier Rhodes, losing all these players who made their defense. Let's face it, one of the worst defenses in the league, making all these noise, and you really have to deal with that, right? Now on the offensive side of the ball, you have Dalvin Cook, great player, right? You have Justin Jefferson, great receiver. Adam Thielen, great receiver at 31, right? And I'm gonna compare him. I'm making a comparison, but don't get mad at me. Please do not get mad at me when I say this. I'm making a comparison, I'm looking you straight in the eye, right? Making a comparison. This team is like the Rams from last season. Same system, right? Same offensive system. I think Jefferson's going to get used a lot like Cooper Kupp was last year. I think Dalvin Cook is going to be a lot is going to be used a lot less this year. I think the running style of the Rams, like the flow, like between him and Madison, are going to be exploited this year. I think Kirk Cousins is going to have a lot more successful year than he's had in past years, right? Kirk Cousins, I think he's a I don't know, man. Like I mean, I'm sure everybody's seen that NFL memes meme where they like have like that video of like Kirk Cousins, Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. Kirk Cousins, all these names out, and they start listening. They start showing players, and they're all like, "Oh wow!" They show Alex Smith. They show who else? Who else? They show Jimmy Garoppolo. They show all these players, and it's just the funniest video ever. If you haven't seen it, it's a TikTok video. I think NFL memes posted it, but it's hilarious. But back to my point. I think Kirk Cousins has I think, in my opinion, he's gained enough confidence in his ability to kind of play in whatever system he's in. He's had a lot of different coordinators. He's had a lot of different systems in place where he's been, whether it be in Washington or Minnesota, to the point where he has the ability to be flexible with who his play caller is. Now, over the past couple of years, they've had Mike Zimmer, and Mike Zimmer is a defensive coordinator, obviously, defensive guy, he's a defensive guru. And I think you get tired of people. When you go through different changes, right? Or when you're used to the same person every single time, right? When you're used to the same management every year, and you're just not doing or maybe you're in a relationship, and it's just not going the same way when it first started. Luckily, I'm not in that situation. Me and my girl, we clicked just like how we clicked on our first day, and I love it. But some of you all in relationships, and relationships get kind of rocky, and you just, I'm not saying we don't have any problems. I'm just saying, we still click the same way, but sometimes that click goes away, right? And that's the same thing that happened with Mike Zimmer and Kirk Cousins. The click just went away, right? And you're not having to deal with the same person that you're getting tired of having to see every day on a day in and day out basis, and you get a new guy. All right, you get a new girlfriend. All right, you get a new puppy, or whatever the case may be, and you're like, oh wow, this is what it means to be loved, or this is what it means to have a person I can relate to, or this is what it means to have someone speak my same language. It's just like Mike Zimmer's defensive guy, right? I think his name is Hackett. I want to say what's the Vikings head coach name? Can we get a Google check? Nathaniel or Kevin O'Connell? Sorry, wait, that's not the, no, that's not the. Is that the guy's name? Head coach of the. I thought his name was something else. Okay, so it's Kevin O'Connell. But like Kevin O'Connell gets with Kirk Cousins, right? It's like this is like a match made in heaven. This is like I'm trying to think of a. This is like J Lo and what's that dude that she's like keep on going on and off it. I think Ben Affleck. Maybe not that, but this is something special, right? Kevin O'Connell and Kirk Cousins are a match made in heaven. They're two offensive guys. They speak the same language. They don't have to worry about sugarcoating nothing. They don't have to worry about someone not understanding the lingo. They don't have to worry about opening the door for that person because they know that door is going to be already open. You're not going to get tired of this guy because he speaks the same language you speak. He listens to the same stuff you listen to. You watch the same movies. You speak the same language. And in this case, we're talking football language, right? Other cases, relationship podcasts, they talk that love language. Right here, we're talking football language. And this is the reason why I think that the Vikings have a chance to win a Super Bowl this year because of the relationship that Kirk Cousins and Kevin O'Connell will have this year. And I'm just letting you guys know, all right, for all those people who bet sports and stuff like that, I would definitely take not a lot of money, but just, you got a little money in your pocket. You're wasting on 21 or wasting on poker or wasting on a UFC premium fight where you could just get it online for free. Shout out to the plug. But when you're dealing with these, when you're wasting money, put it on the Vikings, right? This is a good high flyer, right? Good high flying team. Now, another team that I've listed, right, that I think has the potential, and I've said it already, and I put money on them. I put $50 on them to win 700, right? Plus 14,000 or plus 1,400. The Chargers. I think the Super Bowl this year, my prediction, and I hope this is right because I want to clip this, but I hope this is right. But my prediction is the Chargers and the Vikings in the Super Bowl this year. I know that's an ugly Super Bowl, but it's a believable Super Bowl. Last year, the Rams and the Bengals, who made that? I didn't. So that's my prediction. Chargers and the Vikings. I think Chargers are going to win Super Bowl this year. That's my prediction. And with that being said, we can kind of transition over to the Niners, right? I mean, so a lot of you guys have been asking me what I think about the Niners this year, what I think about the Niners chances this year, what do I think about Trey Lance, and I've told you guys, I'm honest with you guys, Trey Lance is a great athlete. He just does not have the experience left, right? And I think when you go through that, when you're someone who's it could be any field that you're in, right? I think all of us know someone like this at a workplace that we're at, where you're really good at something. They just don't have the experience, so they miss out on questions to ask. They they don't offer the solution that the customer is needing. They offer a solution that they only know, things like that, right? Where you're going through stuff, and then you learn from experience where you're able to, I should have asked that, and then you ask it the next time, and then I think that's what Trey Lance is going to go through a lot this year. Good thing about the Niners though is that they have a great solid defense and they have a great foundation. Now a little bit of insight. I hopefully this podcast will happen. One of my friends played for the Niners. I'm sorry, he played in the NFL, played under Cal, not under, but played with played under the Shanahan system with Mike Shanahan. And there's a lot of players, sorry, a lot of coaches that he was coaching who are now head coaches and who are on this Niner coaching staff and other coaching staffs in the NFL. So hopefully I can get his insight on what it's going to take for the defense to kind of play in the Shanahan system, because I think a lot of stuff that gets missed out in this um a lot of stuff that gets missed out about the Shanahan offense is how good their defense has always been. Whether it be with the Redskins when he was OC, and I don't know about his numbers in Cleveland when he was OC there, but I don't count that against him if it was bad. But um, with the Niners, his defense have always been solid. Look at the past. D'Amico Ryan, he could have been a head coach this offseason. He wasn't. He's like, hey, I'm gonna sit out. I'm gonna wait a couple more years, and then I'll see what happens next offseason. Right? There was just, I think D'Amico Ryan did a great job. There was just no coaching opportunities that were good other than the Dolphins one, and that was with Mike McDaniel. That's offensive minded coach, right? And then you have to, with Robert Saleh, went to the New York Jets. Not the best situation, but he's been there for a year. He's kind of established some type of a culture there, and hopefully they succeed. But the thing about Kyle Shanahan, and the thing that I admire most of him as a football fan, is how he is able to help others while he's helping himself. And I think that's going to be the biggest contribution he's going to make. Um, and in the NFL, he won't have all the Super Bowls, he won't have all the accolades, the head coaching, but he can say that, hey, I'm the reason why. And not kind of rub it in, but because that sounds kind of arrogant, but he can say that he had some type of impact on, Mike McDaniel, on who else? Robert Saleh, um, D'Amico Ryan when he becomes a head coach. Even impact on guys like Sean McVay, who were QB coaches, or coordinators, in the Washington office. And I'm missing out on some guys that Kyle Shanahan has helped along the ladder, but just want this known that Kyle Shanahan is no joke. He is a guy who is well established. He didn't get the job because his dad was, a head coach. He earned where he's at right now, And back to the Niners, and my expectations are that it's going to be a rocky year. I think the Niners have the full potential to, kind of get where they're going, and their offense is going to be kind of. My biggest question mark is and if you listen to a lot of Niners podcasts, also a lot of Niners local news, you already know this, but their offensive line is particularly with the center position is going to be a challenge, and I don't know, how much that will work, right, for the zone scheme that Kyle Shanahan works. Because for the past couple of years he's had Alex Mack, who is an All-Pro center, right, where you don't have to worry about him pitching out in on the Aaron Donalds, or him helping out on the guys that they're having to go with on a every week basis. Now you have to you got to rely on rookies and some guys who don't have that much experience to play that position, to team up with what's his name? I forget the guy's name, the other tackle, but other guard, McClinchy, and then also Trent Williams. So I think they're gonna lean a lot on Trent Williams, and I saw them, I saw them running a lot of pulls with Kittle, and I don't remember them doing that a lot last year. The times I do remember them doing that last year were against the Cowboys, and they used to run out. They used to run that the pull play where Debo would run on the outside and then kind of break a big run. He did that in Green Bay. They did that in Green Bay when he had that big explosive run in the playoffs, and then he also did it in Dallas as well. So I definitely look for more of those to be involved in the offense. Now, the biggest question mark I think a lot of Niner fans are going to have is how many reps is Debo going to run? Like how many attempts he's going to get? I think Kyle Shanahan doesn't have an issue with giving him the ball and how he gets the ball. I don't think Debo has an issue with that. I don't think any player would have an issue with getting the ball, especially a player as good as Debo. But I think the biggest issue is going to be related to kind of how they're going to give him the ball and where they're going to give him the ball at. Because I think thing about Debo is I mean, I was telling my brothers this last year. Like, I don't want to tackle that dude. Like as a defender, like I don't want to tackle that dude. But at also on that same at the same point, that takes a lot of toll on his body. On a week to week basis, and he has to do a lot of what's the word? A lot of geez Louise, he just has to do a lot of work with his body, off the field, and when you're doing that, you're constantly having to do a lot of rehab, and that's keeping you away from practice, keeping you away from getting that, getting those reps you need. And Debo's not a player who needs those reps, but he got hurt a lot. I mean, he didn't. He got hurt a lot last year. He wasn't sitting out games, but there was games where he got hurt, set out a couple series, maybe a one series or two, and he went back in. And you want that from your star player. However, you want to kind of prevent that from happening. And I think this year, Brandon Ayuk needs to step up big. I think this year, Jawan Jennings needs to step up. I think this year, McLeod can make some plays. There is a lot of they've been doing a lot of deep balls to him in training camp. So I look for that to be big out there. Now, last thing about the Niners, and I'll get off them because I've been on them for about 10 minutes now. Is Trey Lance? I think they will finish maybe like 11 wins, 10-win team. And I think they're going to be able to do that based upon how good Trey Lance plays. I didn't even talk about the defense that much because I know their defense is going to do well, right? I think the biggest question mark is on their offense production. How they're going to get it when Debo's not on the field, when Kudo's not on the field, when they need those breaks. Ayuk needs to step up big. I think he will. But next topic, I want to talk about the NBA, and then I'll go ahead and give you guys my my thoughts on the Patriots system. But NBA, just so we can end on the NFL. NBA, man, it's in a terrible spot. I mean, when usually when owners get into fantasy football, they do it for the money. And I'm sorry, fantasy football. When they get into the NBA or sports organization, they do it for the money, right? Like we saw the owner for the Broncos who just got it. He didn't even know Roger Goodell's name, right? Right. They usually get it in for the money, right? Now with the owner of the Nets, I don't know the guy's background, and I'm not curious to know it. I know people may criticize me for not knowing it and speak on it, but I don't care really, right? But what it's doing is it's like for him to react to a report that was not said by Kevin Durant, right, publicly. All right, it was said privately in a private meeting, and it was just a claim, right? For him to come out and say, "Hey, my front office, Sean Marks and Steve Nash are staying. They're good. They're good guys. We're not getting rid of them." For him to come out and say that, I think that's wrong on your part as an owner, right? You're an owner of $1 billion industry, right? $1 billion team, right? You bought the team for $1 billion, whatever you bought the team for, right? You don't let a player punk you into coming out and speaking publicly on a matter, right? Especially of a matter this sensitive where you have teams that are trying to pry him away from you at least the cost that's possible. You don't do that. That's mistake number one, right? Mistake number two is signing him to an extension and then not validating any type of terms, right? Where he has a no trade clause or where he can't, demand a trade after the year prior, or he can't demand who gets signed here. There's no set president in the Brooklyn Nets organization. I think that's the biggest fault that they have. Like you don't know, at least publicly, you don't know who is running the organization. Like I don't know. Like is it Sean Marks? Is it the Blicker? Is it the Nets owner? Is it Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. If you leave it to the players, it's KD and Kyrie. If you leave it to Sean Marks, it's Sean Marks. You know, and it seemed as if they have no type of say in what's going on at all. And if you guys heard some drilling in the background, I'm sorry, my parents are getting the kitchen remodel, so can't do anything about that. But you don't have any type of structure, right? In an organization, you need structure. That's why the Warriors are so successful right now. They have structure, right? Joe Lacob he funds everything. What's his name? The Nets, the Warriors, GM Bob Myers, he gets everybody that needs to be gotten. Whether it be the players, whether it be, the coaching staff, and then you have Steve Kerr who just runs the team. He doesn't worry anything about who gets signed, who teams, who they pick and choose, who they pick and whatever like that. He doesn't care about it, right? There's structure in the organization. You look at another successful organization, the Phoenix Suns. There's structure in that organization where coaches coach, GMs GM, and players play, right? There's no structure set in in the Brooklyn Nets organization. And I think that's the biggest issue that's happening in basketball all around the NBA association, but there's no structure, right? And when you have a organization, forget being basketball, but when you have an organization where there's no structure, you run into issues and you fail. And then you have guys leaving, you have guys failing, you have C-suite guys leaving, you have employees, falling out, you have guys suing you for harassment claims, all this stuff start happening, and your stock prices go down, stakeholders stop investing in it, they stop producing projects, investors stop, investing in it. Every day, citizens, they stop investing in your product, and you lose out on customers, right? And that's what's happening with Brooklyn Nets. Like, I don't care too much about what happens in Brooklyn anymore. I just don't. I really don't. Like, Katie gets traded tomorrow. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh my gosh, Kevin Durant got traded, I need to make a podcast. Like, that's not gonna be my reaction, because I don't. At this point, it's just tiresome, and we need something else to talk about NBA. And then what makes it worse is Kevin Durant. I think he has some type of, I don't know what it is, but he has something with Disney where he kind of helps control like what they talk about in the media, because now I don't hear any report on what that happened in the situation. And Ethan Strauss wrote an article about how ESPN is bearing this story where the owner of the Nets comes out and publicly says like, Kevin Durant, you don't run this team. Right. So I think there's a lot of variables to this issue, and something needs to be done about it. But with that being said, I'm done. All right, I'm done talking about the Nets. I'm sorry about guys, but I need to get my NBA rant in every now and then, so you guys will get it, right? But last but not least, sorry, I'm talking really loud if you can't. Sorry if I'm yelling at you. But last but not least, the Patriots. What we have is a situation where the Patriots organization is dictating Belichick is dictating who really gets to see what's happening in the organization. And that happens, I feel like it happens every year. And the media is just different this year because he has two OCs. Like, I don't think it's that big of an issue. I really don't. And I'm going to keep quick and short on it just because I'm tired of this drilling in my ear and I'm tired of talking over it. But I'm going to be quick and short, man. Listen, Patriots had the number 6 ranked scoring offense last year, scoring 27 plus points a game. They're not going to have any issues scoring the ball. All right. They're not going to have any issues getting stops on defense. It doesn't matter who's calling the plays. Mac Jones is a great quarterback. They have great offensive line. They have a great run game. They have okay receivers. They have average, below average receivers in the NFL. They're going to be able to produce some points. Now, are they going to win games? I don't know. But, if they lose it's not going to be because of Joe Judge and because of Matt Patricia splitting play call. It's just not. All right. With that being said, I think I saw enough topics. You guys got my picks for the year. Vikings, Chargers, Super Bowl. Recap. Jalen Hurts MVP. I think we didn't talk about this time, but we talked about the last podcast. Georgia to win national championship this year. That's 3 plays already. I'm giving you guys, right? These are plus odds too. All plus odds, by the way. All right. But with that being said, I'm out of here.